Today and across the fence, these gorgeous traditional and contemporary quilts made by Vermonters, all part of an upcoming quilt show. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. The doors will open this Friday on the Champlain Valley Quilt Guild's 34th Quilt Show. The three-day show will feature a spectacular array of quilts, and in addition to the Champlain Valley Guild, the Vermont Modern Quilt Guild will be on hand. A separate show will feature the Green Mountain Rug Hooking Guild. We'll see examples of their work as well. So, three great organizations with lots of beautiful quilts and rugs. We have a lot to see and talk about. Here are two guests to get us started. On my left is Claire Graham-Smith of Burlington, who's representing the Modern Quilt Guild, and on my right is Ann Standish of Cambridge. Ann is with the Champlain Valley Quilt Guild of Vermont. Thank you both for coming in. Okay. Now tell us a little bit about, Ann, this year's show. When is it?
This year's show is Friday, October 19th from 9 to 5. Saturday, October 20th from 9 to 5, and then Sunday, October 21st from 9 to 3.
Excellent. Now, is there a theme for this year's show?
Yes. The theme we've chosen is called Coming Full Circle, which is a theme that many quilters have embraced and have decided how it speaks to them.
And so the show will feature a variety of styles and materials and techniques. So let's take a look at some of the examples which you brought here today.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. I have 10 quilts to show you, and I have gone across the spectrum. Claire will talk about the modern quilts, but I will talk about the traditional ones as well as the art quilts. And the traditional ones are typically pieced or applique. They have an old feel to them in terms of using blocks, using traditional colors, and typically are for the bed, but not always, as this one is. This is a quilt that is made by Alice Marsh. She used a quilt design that was designed by Judy Thomas, who is one of our featured quilters this year, and I will get to her later.
Okay.
But she uses traditional colors, traditional fabrics, and she has quilted all 3 layers using the machine.
That's beautiful.
Yes, it was machine quilted by Karen Abrahamovich.
Great. And we'll just peel this one back.
Okay. This one is made by Linda. This really does talk about the theme that we have, which is called Coming Full Circle. And many of the quilters this year have chosen to use the seasons. And so this one has a particularly delightful pattern to it, showing all the 4 seasons.
There's little robin up here in the corner I love.
Lots of embellishments, just a very delightful and cheerful quilt.
Very much so. There you go.
Now this one is made by Catherine Simchich. This is a round robin quilt, and what that means is that there were 5 people who worked on this quilt. The centerpiece was made by the owner of the quilt, and then 4 other quilters added more borders and more design to it, and they were given free rein to do whatever they wanted. And then Catherine was able to finish it up and quilt and bind it, and this will be in the show. There will be several round robin quilts because there are 25 guild members who participated in that activity this year.
No, that's wonderful. Okay.
Now I'll show you some art quilts. This quilt is called Double Bloodroot. It is made by Carla White. It is part of the theme quilt that is. There were 8 quilts that came full circle because it was a circle of friends and themes. Carla was one of the featured artists in 2016 at our show, and she is extraordinarily fearless in terms of the techniques that she uses, and she will go at it. She's extraordinary, and she will have several pieces in the show.
Now this strikes me as a lot of detail as far as stitching is concerned.
Absolutely, and there's lots of fusible applique on there as well.
It's beautiful.
Now this one is made by Maria Lowe. I consider this an abstract contemporary piece. I don't know if Claire will call this a modern piece. Maria was our featured artist in 2014. The title is called Easter Comes Late This Year, and I think that she made the quilt before she came up with the title. She saw the small egg-shaped pieces and put it together. What Maria is so good at is diverse surface design, where she is using some roving, some felting. She is piecing things on top. The background fabric itself is what she painted before she actually put the embellishments on top.
So this is actually a painted fabric?
The background is, yes. Yeah.
Spectacular.
Now this one is made by Phyllis Billings. This is a good example of how you can put photographs into a quilt.
Oh, right here.
You are actually, she actually printed these photographs out on fabric. This is the Hyde cabin in Grand Isle. And she decided that the title of this quilt would be Who Knew? Clothespins Made in Vermont.
We should
and the
hold this up
idea
so you can see the little clothespins.
Is that the spring clothespins were invented and manufactured in Vermont from the 1850s until the 1940s.
Terrific. A little bit of history.
A little bit of history. Now this one is made by Ann Harmon, and this is called the Funky Rooster. It is pieced, meaning that there are seams in between each fabric. It is not appliqued on top, with some very, very dense machine quilting. And she told me that the hardest part of this particular design was actually choosing the fabrics. Once she chose the fabrics, it went very quickly.
Wonderful.
And then this one is by Helen Irwin. It's called Just for Me Too. And Just for Me Too, you know, many quilters will make quilts for other people, for sale or for gifts. And this one she made for herself. She loves scrappy quilts. She loves bountiful color. And she decided that come January, she needed to work on something very colorful because
it's
January is void of color.
Alrighty, beautiful.
So the last two quilts I wanted to show you are made by the featured artists that we have this year. This first one, which is, maybe I can call it a vintage quilt. It was made in 1980 by Judy Thomas. Judy Thomas is the owner of Yankee Pride Quilt Shop. She is a designer, a teacher, and she makes these magnificent traditional quilts. There will be several of them at her display. The nice thing about this one is that it really shows hand quilting rather than machine quilting. And this is the only one in my display that is actually hand quilted.
Fantastic.
She will have others at the show as well.
All right. Carefully fold this away.
Yes. And then the last one is called Workshop with Phil. This is made by Rose Orr. Rose Orr is our second featured artist. She does extraordinary work. She actually won the Governor's Award at the Vermont Quilt Festival this year. This one, it was because of a 3-day workshop where she was able to dye the fabrics, then design the quilt, and then she went home and quilted it. What's interesting to me about this is the dense thread work that she uses, and she uses this in all of her work, is that she actually quilted the background, which is this mottled purple, from the back, following the designs of the piece of fabric on the back, and so it shows on the front.
Fantastic. That is beautiful. Just so many gorgeous quilts here. And these are just some examples. Now, Claire, we're going to turn to you with the Modern Quilt Guild, and you have some examples that you wanted to show as well.
Yes, Jess Peck made this quilt. Right here we've got her initials and the date. And this is actually an example of a modern spin with modern fabrics on a coverlet from 1718 in England, and I think it's the earliest known quilt.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Hand pieced, machine quilted.
Okay.
And great back.
I was just going to say, just as colorful on the back.
Yeah. This one is made by Michelle Ryder. This is very much a modern quilt in a more graphic style. She's got words in the middle, music is magic, open space, really bold colors, solid fabrics she's used exclusively as opposed to prints. So these are some of the hallmarks of modern quilting. Also straight line quilting. There's diagonal quilting in the center here.
Okay.
But not spirally, swirly.
Gotcha.
This is an example of an improvised pieced quilt. Some of these sections are put together in a very unstructured manner. Also using a lot of the fabric in the sections to begin with that bleed out to the edge, so you kind of lose any block structure. This one was actually done in the same workshop, so a similar sort of idea. Fairly simple quilting in both of them. More artful, I think.
Okay, and we've got another one to look at here.
And this is a large quilt made by Anne Shapiro. Lots of open space here. Sort of an all-over kind of pattern. This is actually stripy fabric rather than pieced together, but it easily could have been pieced as well.
It's beautiful. All right. Well, let's take a look at some of the information on when this show is going to be. It's the Champlain Valley Quilt Guild's 34th Quilt Show that's taking place this coming Friday to Sunday at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. You can get more information by going to the website. Joining me now is Guild member Gina Steen of Heinsberg. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
What have you got here?
Well, this is a raffle rug that we're doing this year at the show. It's made by one of our featured artists. It's called Passion. It combines rug hooking with rug braiding, and you can see how it's pieced together. It is really a piece of art that we would hang on the wall.
Yeah, I wouldn't step on that.
No, but you can. We are selling raffle tickets at the show, and I wanted to bring in some smaller pieces so you can see how easy it is to get started. You can start with something smaller, and we are going to have demonstrators at the show all day, every day. We're having the show Wednesday through Sunday.
Excellent.
And you can try your hand at this. You can get as complicated as a rug that's being raffled, or something smaller, a smaller piece like this that is very easy to tackle.
Excellent.
This is more of a landscape, primitive kind of thing, but it's sentimental. This is made from a picture of a real home.
Oh,
and
nice.
This was given as a gift. So you can run the gamut from primitive to traditional to very abstract. Lots of different things. This is based on a Panamanian mola, and this was
really
done
different.
With her colors from her home, but it's traditionally made with very bright pieces of fabric, and what they do is they sew around and cut away the pieces until the right color is shown. And that's how they make their tops, and the different symbols symbolize the different people and what they do and that sort of thing. So that's kind of her adaptation of a mola rug. And this one was a rug that won at the Shelburne Museum the last time we had it there.
Oh, no kidding.
We have an adjudicator coming again this year to judge, but you can also, when you come, place your own People's Choice Award vote.
Terrific.
So it's nice to go through and see which one is your favorite, and please choose and vote.
Terrific.
Yeah.
And we have one more item here you wanted to show.
Yes, I would like to show the raffle quilt that we will be raffling off this year in December. But the title of this quilt is called Blue Rose, and the quilters that made it are part of a smaller group called the Mountain Art Quilters. What I really need to say is that I thank Yankee Pride for providing all the fabrics and the batting for it, and for Wilma Gaddy who did all the machine quilting on it as well. Raffle tickets will be sold at the Guild show, and it will be chosen. The winner will be chosen in December.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming in and bringing these beautiful items. We want to remind you that there's the 3-day quilt show opens this Friday and runs through Sunday at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. You can get more information by visiting their website, which is cvqgvt.org. That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.